Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our live session called Land More Interviews Your AI Powered Job Search. While everybody's connecting, I have a warm up question to everyone. Please share in the comment section who has used AI in their job search and how. So, if you have ever used AI in your job search, let us know, let me know how you've done that so far. Have you maybe used ChatGPT? If yes, how? And while everybody's connecting, we can share our experience so far. So, who has used AI in their job search and how? Please share. Usually, the comments we receive is specifically ChatGPT to help draft certain things, identify keywords. Some are familiar with CV writing / drafting / improvement softwares. So let's see where you are at. I'll give it another minute and then we'll get started. Don't be shy, post in the comment section. So let's see who has used AI in their job search and how. Please feel free to share in the chat / in the comment section. This is only a warm-up. Okay, so far the crowd is shy. Let's see if we manage to warm up during our session. Okay, so let's get started. For those who don't know me, my name is Sandra Bichel. Today I'm representing Career Angels. I started my career over 20 years ago, which I will share more about later. I first worked in executive search in Central and Eastern Europe and marketing and sales in both Europe and Latin America. In 2010, I decided to found a company called Career Angels that basically uses the know-how of executive search recruitment and combines it with marketing and sales techniques and applied to candidates. Over the last almost 15 years, we have supported over 11,000 professionals across Europe, and I can actually say across the world. 10% of our clients come from or are based outside of Europe. Support means in terms of career management and job search in the last 5 years, so since January 2020, we have had over 20,000 participants in our online and offline lectures, webinars, etc. I myself have been a guest lecturer at leading business schools across Europe since 2014. I'm certified by Decision Dynamics since 2017. My team and I, we have designed and delivered the first of its kind postgraduate degree called Career Advisory in 2021, educating the next generation of career advisors. And then in 2021, I first became a consultant, and then in 2023, an interim HR director, and then a CHRO at Allegro. Now, what's very important for me to share is that any kind of advice that we formulate is always based on data. We track our own data. We have so far collected real reactions of about 27,000 professionals, meaning headhunters and decision makers. We track our job market KPIs, meaning supply and demand in 80 countries worldwide, and we calculate job hunting KPIs. In other words, we track what works and what doesn't work. And let me share with you the link, because it's hyperlinked, as you can see. And we follow scientific research based on the longest career-related study of over 40 years. That link I will also add. And last but not least, we follow what's happening on LinkedIn. There are fantastic LinkedIn algorithm insights published each year that we diligently follow and share. And if you're interested in that, I'm also sharing the link to that resource. But today I'd like to first take you on some time travel. And we'll go back to 2002, back when I started my career as a junior executive consultant. How did my job look like when it comes to dealing with candidates? I would have easy 20 minutes to properly read a candidate CV. I would have another full 20 minutes for a screening call. So the phone call, once we received the CV or found a profile, that was that screening call. I would have the time to talk to my potential candidates. I would then have a full hour and a half for an in-person interview. I would then spend usually another 45 minutes or so to write a proper report. So I would spend 2 hours, 55 minutes per each candidate. My question to you, and I do hope I get some reactions, what do you think? How much time does a recruiter have nowadays per candidate? What do you think? Please share in the chat. How much time do recruiters nowadays spend per each candidate? And I'm checking with tech if everything is working, because usually we do get comments. And we should be seeing, it might be that I don't see the comments that you are sharing. Let me quickly check with tech support. Okay, while I'm checking with tech, I can tell you what kind of feedback I receive usually when I ask that question. Okay, thank you. Now I see Johannes commented 5 minutes. 5 minutes would be a little bit harsh. I mean, probably when we statistically calculated and take every single candidate into consideration, probably yes. I have another comment, 30 minutes. And you're absolutely right. So it's usually 20 to 30 minutes, which compared to the almost 3 hours that I had 23 years ago is not really that much. Now, back in 2002, it was my responsibility as the executive search consultant to identify and present the candidate's unique selling proposition to my client. Unique selling proposition means the why they should be hired, the why they are the best from the pool of available candidates on the market. Now, the other question is that now that we have established that somebody has 20 to 30 minutes per candidacy, how likely is it nowadays for a recruiter to be able to assess a candidate's USP after spending only 20 to 30 minutes on their candidacy? What do you think? Please share in the comment section. So we said I had 3 hours to identify that. But now if a recruiter has 20, 30 minutes, how likely is it for them to do a proper job on identifying how unique a candidate is on the job market? And it's more of a rhetorical question because it's very unlikely. What could somebody be able to say about you after speaking to you for and spending only 20 to 30 minutes on you and your candidacy? So this is a huge shift that happened on the market. We went from the responsibility lies with the recruiter to the responsibility lies with the candidate, which is a big change on the job market that most have simply not realized yet. Okay, now let's fast forward to 2012. By 2012, I was already a career consultant with Career Angels, and I had a client. The client back then, and those are real clients, sales director. The effort that candidate had to put into their job search was get in touch with 20 headhunters, 20 decision makers. They had to do some networking, and they did not have to apply to any job ads. And my tech support has just confirmed the comments that we are receiving from LinkedIn come in onto my site with a slight delay. So apologies for that. So 20 headhunters, 20 decision makers, some networking, no job ads. Whereas the result was that sales director got a job offer ready to be signed within only 3 months. Sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Let's fast forward to 2023. In 2023, and this is a client example of one of my colleagues at Career Angels. The client was a senior sales director, very similar experience, but the job title was different. That senior sales director got in touch with 87 headhunters, 32 private equity and venture capital funds, did some networking, but hasn't yet started applying to job ads and hasn't yet contacting companies. The result, 10 interviews, 0 job offers. And the job search, the intensive part of the job search has taken 4 months. And with that, very awarely, the client has decided to take a break and will continue with job ads and companies at a later stage. But you can already see how much more of an effort it took to get much less of an output. Okay, so now let's talk KPIs. The success KPIs have not changed. And when I say success KPIs, we need to look at 2 different KPIs. One is called response rate, or RR, which is how many effectively contacted people replied divided by the total number of contacted people. And when I say effectively contacted, you're only allowed to count a person effectively contacted if you've sent a first email and a follow-up email. If you have not sent a follow-up email, if you've decided to contact somebody via LinkedIn, it does not count. So it has to be by email, and there has to be a follow-up email that is usually sent within 7 to 10 business days. So again, a question, and my tech support sends me your comments in our internal chat, so I will see your answers. What do you think? If you contact 40 headhunters or 100 decision makers, so your potential boss in selected companies, what do you think? How many will actually reply? How many will respond? Please share in the chat / in the comments, depending on where you're joining from. Today, we have joiners from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So please share, what do you think? How many % will actually respond? So what's the response rate? Let's see. Usually the answer I get would be about 5% or 2 people. Let's see what you believe. You contact 40 headhunters, 100 decision maker. What do you think? How many %, how many people will actually reply? Okay, 20%, 2 to 3. Very good. Now, under the assumption that you have identified the correct people, 5 to 10%, exactly. So under the assumption that you have identified the correct headhunters, so headhunters that actually specialize in your function and your industry, and under the assumption that you have contacted the right decision makers, so not your peers, not somebody too far up the ladder, the hierarchical ladder, that you have selected the right company. So assuming that you've done what you should have done, the response rate that you should be able to expect is 30 to 50%. That also means that 50 to 70% will not reply, which is okay, but 30 to 50% do reply if all the puzzle pieces have been well executed. The second success KPI that I want to discuss today is interview rate, IVR. So that's the amount of interviews that you've been able to generate divided by the total number of effectively contacted people. So same question. If you contact 40 headhunters, 100 decision makers, what do you think? How many will invite you to a job interview? So again, the big bulk, 40 headhunters or 100 decision makers. So we already know the response rate is a little bit higher than what you thought, or much higher depending on your answer. So 30 to 50% is response rate. But out of the total, what do you think is the interview rate? Please share again. Let's see what you think. There's again a slight delay, but that's okay. We're managing. Usually the answer that I would receive is in the context of the 30 to 50%, maybe up to 5%. Beverly, thank you for sharing. Here we have 20%, 5%. Yes, your comments come in with a slight delay, but again, as mentioned, we are managing. Very good. Now, looking at our data, we know that the interview rate you can expect is 5 to 10%. So not as high as the 20%, but solid 5 to 10%. If your KPIs that everyone should be tracking, if your own KPIs are less than that, it means that you definitely should review what you've been doing, because there's definitely something you can be improving. It could be the email subject line, it could be the CV, it could be what it is that you write in the email. Maybe it's not the right contact people, etc. So definitely audit your entire job search strategy. Okay. So what's very interesting that over the last 15 years, we have seen that those success KPIs have remained unchanged. So our clients have always been able to rely on the 30 to 50% and the 5 to 10%. However, what has changed is how much more input we need to, how much more effort we need to generate to have exactly those same KPIs. So 15 years ago, our clients had to contact only 20 headhunters. Nowadays, it's between 30 and 50. 15 years ago, up until 2016, experienced managers and executives did not have to apply to any job ads whatsoever. Nowadays, it's 50 or more. Back then, we'd have about 20 companies that our clients would have to contact. So the decision makers, their potential bosses. Nowadays, it's between 60 and 90. And from when it comes to networking, we'd have to do some networking. And nowadays, you need to have a proper networking strategy and really work your network. So an intensive approach to networking. So things have changed. Now, one thing that I'd like to invite everyone to do is to calculate, not now, you can do that afterwards, to calculate your actual job hunting efficiency. It takes you through 9 very quick questions that will show you how effective you are indeed in your current job search. And why does it say perception versus reality? Because most professionals' perception is, but I've been looking for a job for a long time. I've applied to 100 job ads. I've spoken to my network. But when you look at the channels, when you look at the efficiency of the various channels, once you calculate it, it's often described to us as a cold shower. Say, oh, I'm only 23% efficient. I have not done the other 78%. That can't be. So it puts your efforts, black and white, calculated into the context of what currently needs to happen in terms of effort when looking for a job. And again, yes, these numbers are targeted at experienced managers and executives. Okay. In other words, what probably most of you are thinking now, looking for a job is basically a job. It takes a lot of time. And here I'd like to walk you through 2 candidate personas to show you the difference between looking for a job the traditional way, meaning without AI, as opposed to with AI, and how much of a difference AI can make. So let's start with Adam. Adam is a project manager who we are joining on his quest of job search. It's day 60. And over the last 60 days, he has sent 2 applications a day. So by day 60, he has sent 120 CVs. So we have 120 CVs, and statistically, we know that about 75% of those CVs go through an applicant tracking system, so that's 90 CVs, and 25% of the CVs had to be sent by email or a message, but it's attached as a document as a PDF. So that's about 30%. That's 30 CVs. Okay. Now, from statistics, we also know that applicant tracking systems or CVs that go through applicant tracking systems, 75% are never seen by human recruiters. In other words, 23 CVs are seen by a recruiter. On the other hand, looking at the response rates, we also know that about half of the CVs that are sent out to a recruiter are ignored. So 15 CVs are seen by the recruiter. That gives us 38 CVs that a human being actually looked at. Now, we also know, when we look to a different data source, AI Apply says that only 2% of all applications are reviewed by human recruiters that go through applicant tracking systems. So that would be 2.4 CVs if all of them were to have been gone through an applicant tracking system. In other words, anywhere between 2.4 and 38 CVs were reviewed by a human, meaning you, the candidate, have made an effort of preparing and sending 120 CVs, and up to only 38 were actually assessed and appreciated by somebody on the other side of the screen. Okay. So let's look at it again. So we have 120 CVs. And again, looking at data, depending on the source of data, we know that between 65 and 80% of applicants never receive any kind of feedback, meaning no human interaction, which gives us about 33 replies. And those 33 replies usually lead to 4 to 5 recruitment projects. Out of those 4 to 5 recruitment projects, there is, again, a 75% chance for the recruiter to ghost the candidate. So Adam would receive proper feedback to barely 1 or 2 projects, and not necessarily of the positive kind. In other words, Adam would have to send up to 360 CVs to actually land a job. That's the data in 2025. And it can be pretty frustrating and surprising to some. So, summarizing, we said 60 days of applying, 120 CVs, 4 to 5 recruitment processes, and that would take him about 60 hours. So an hour a day, 2 applications, half an hour, that's more or less. But that doesn't take into consideration that Adam also has to prepare for the interviews and show up to the interviews. So by day 60, he has spent 70 hours only on job ads. But then there is more. It would take him about 10 hours to identify, contact, interact with headhunters, about 50 hours to find 70 companies and the right decision makers and contact them. And we estimated a very low 2.8 hours per week to do networking. So by day 60, he has spent at least 154 hours on his job search, plus interviews and preparation. Because the 10, 50, and 24 hours are only the activity to work on the channel, but doesn't talk about how many hours of interview preparation there is and how many interviews that has led to. So 154 hours. As we said before, looking for a job is a job. But now let's look at Beata. Beata is also a project manager and is also into her 60th day of job search. So she still has to work the same channels. There's no shortcuts. There are no candidates currently that we know of, no experienced managers, executives, professionals that can say, oh, I will not do the networking, or, the headhunters, they don't reply anyway, I won't do that. She still has to work the same channels, but she will use AI. Now, let me show you how. So when it comes to CV writing, AI supports her in identifying keywords and competencies in a job description. AI helps her to generate content for each job ad. It helps in optimizing CV for applicant tracking systems. And it does the proofreading and language fine-tuning for her. Then LinkedIn. AI supports her in optimizing her LinkedIn profile for 2 target groups. So LinkedIn, we have 2 target groups. We have the human being, but we also have the technology in the background, so the LinkedIn algorithm. Then when it comes to the job ad channel, AI supports her in fully automating the search for job ads. There are tools out there that search not only LinkedIn, but they search a variety of platforms. So you log on there and you have a list of, hey, you could apply here, and there. And it semi-automates the application to those job ads. When it comes to the headhunter channel, AI can help her prepare a list of headhunters based on very specific criteria, like geography, industry, function. When it comes to decision makers, so getting in touch with your potential bosses, what AI can help you with is sourcing, meaning preparing a list of suitable potential employers based on criteria. It can help in the research part, which means identifying the correct contact person and finding their email addresses. And it can help with contacting them with personalized, even very personalized messages. There are fantastic plugins, for example, GPT for Google Sheets, that based on very well-written prompts can generate you fantastic personalized messages. When it comes to the channel of networking, being visible, AI supports her in automating the process of reaching out and network building, including crafting personalized messages. There are fantastic tools out there. It supports her in planning a personal branding strategy to boost engagement. And it can create content for various target groups. Some tools go as far as taking you through what is the purpose of your LinkedIn profile, who is your target group, what do you want to achieve, what is the topic, what is your point of view, and based on your input, it generates content, including graphics. And then all these things hopefully generate interviews, and AI can support her in generating position and industry-specific questions. It can help her in suggesting star-based answers based on her CV. And it supports her in testing and practicing interviewee competencies thanks to real-time AI-led mock interviews. And some of them, you might not have really heard that. So I highlight that here. There are tools out there, AI tools, that can, on the one hand, generate the questions, but based on your CV can also generate your answers. So it helps you come up with much, much better answers than you might have thought of yourself. Absolutely brilliant tools. So now let's see. So realistically, Beata would spend about 35 hours on job ads, about 6 hours on headhunters, 25 hours on the companies and decision makers, 21 hours on networking. That takes us to 87 hours. Plus interviews and preparation. 87 hours is still a lot, but it saves her approximately 67 hours of effort, which is a huge difference. So by day 60, Adam has invested 154 hours into his job search, and Beata about 87, which is almost half the time. So AI, the tools that are currently on the market, can really help you be much, much more efficient. But they probably will end up with more or less the same amount of recruitment processes. Maybe Beata a little bit more because she can be more precise and faster. Or she could spend the extra hours on generating more effort, and then she'd have almost double the recruitment processes, which we already know are necessary to land a job offer. So with AI, Beata could be double as effective. Okay, so AI-powered job search. Today is about setting the scene, and you already know from the descriptions that we have 2 upcoming webinars during which we will explore how you, an experienced professional, can use AI to your advantage, the way Beate did, but also what to be super careful with. Now, one question is, what AI tools do you recommend? Well, I will need about 2 hours to walk you through every single tool to explain to you. And this is what I mean, what to be super careful with. Because yes, the tools are fantastic. However, you need to be careful because AI hallucinates. And I'll give you examples of hallucination. Hallucinating AI means that they fill in the gaps and sometimes misinterpret information. They take an educated guess, which can simply lead to you receiving incorrect information. That's one thing to be careful about and to remember that. And the other thing that you need to remember that the tools are only as smart and knowledgeable as the person that designed and programmed them. Meaning, if you use 2 different CV optimization tools, you will receive contradicting outcomes and advice. And I will show you the differences. So it could be that you say, well, my AI tool told me my CV is perfect and it got an A plus. Some of the tools have school grading system. My CV got an A plus, but you then use the same CV and put it through another AI tool that says, oh, your CV receives 53 points out of 100. And then you go like, what, is it A plus or is it 53 out of 100? Because it depends on who did the programming and who did the back end, so the thinking, the design in the background. So there are things that you should be careful about. So don't trust AI blindly. So in those 2 upcoming webinars next week and the following week, we will take you through every single step, the 7 steps I've shown you, and we'll walk you through all of the tools. And what I do want to share, we have only selected tools that are completely free of charge or that have free usage, sometimes limited usage, but you can already do something with it. With the exception of one area, we have excluded paid tools. So after 2 webinars, you will walk away with a whole list of free tested tools, and you will know what to pay attention to, how to use it, what to be careful with. So the first webinar is next week, April 16, called AI Enhanced Career Positioning, Clarifying Your Direction, Perfect Your CV. What we will do there, we will learn how different AI tools can help you strategically define your career goals. There's a fantastic tool, and it's not that I'll say I will not share any of the tools. Come pay and come next week. One tool, and let me share that in the comments, is called Match That Role. That is absolutely phenomenal. Leverage AI to stand out among other candidates, for example, by emphasizing your strength. That we will share, and we will look at how to optimize your CV for both ATS and human recruiters. One that I recommend regularly, so there's no surprise and that's not a secret, is jobscan.co that I'm also sharing now in the comment section. But there are more. Some say, well, but with JobScan, the free version is not good enough. We will show you alternatives. We'll also talk about what ChatGPT can and cannot do. ChatGPT does a fairly decent job with some aspects, but with other aspects, not that much. And we will tell you, we'll say, listen, ChatGPT is not for that. You will get 50% of the efficiency compared to the other tools that we're mentioning. And in the second webinar, we then look at your LinkedIn profiles, and we will share tools that help you boost efficiency when it comes to LinkedIn. We will walk you through all the 4 channels. So headhunters, direct contact with companies, networking, and I missed one. Job ads. So we'll walk you through the tools that you can apply in every single one of those 4 channels. And again, what to pay attention to, what works and what doesn't work. And we'll show you what tools are out there that help you prepare for the interviews. And one of the tools that I've mentioned is absolutely brilliant, but it starts with the assumption, because tools can be absolutely brilliant, especially when it comes to CV adaptation and interview preparation. But what needs to happen is that the input CV, so the data that you upload, is really, really well prepared. So that much I can mention. I have a couple of comments, questions here. Brian says 100 score CV from Jobco. AI tool was once rejected. Need to work more on top of this tool. Yes. So that's an example of where the contradiction comes in. There are some tools that will tell you, oh, your CV is too long because it's more than 2 pages. And then another tool that looks the same tells you, no, you're fine. It's actually not long enough, and you should add these 5 or 50 keywords. Olya asks, will it be possible to get a presentation? Yes, and I'll tell you in a second how. So if you want to sign up for the 2 webinars, here is the link. The link is also in the description of today's live stream. And I can already see it didn't copy paste properly. Let me try that again. Maybe only the link. That should now work. Yes. So this is where and how you can register for next week and the one after that. We will share, if you can't join to one of them or neither of them, you will have access to the recordings, and you will have access to the presentation. You can have access to today's presentation, and to get that, let me also copy paste that. Because of GDPR, we need your consent to be allowed to send you the presentation. So if you want today's presentation, just fill out the form and we'll make it available. Having said that, for those who do register for next week and the one in 2 weeks, so it's a combo, it's a series, you will receive both the recording and the presentation with hyperlinks and everything that you need to be able to embark on that journey on your own. Fantastic. Now that works. Good. Now, what happens after today and before Q&A? So yes, I'll stay here for another about 10-15 minutes. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer. But before we do Q&A, I understand that this is a public setting. So if you don't feel comfortable sharing your question here, which is absolutely understandable, you can request a free 20 to 30-minute career consultation with a Career Angels, free of charge, no strings attached. Simply send an email to contact@careerangels.eu. Let me also, for you to be able to copy paste it, let me also put that email address in the chat. Simply say career consultation AI webinar, so we know that you've seen today. Send us your CV and or link to your LinkedIn profile and what it is that you'd like to discuss. Things that usually people want to discuss is current professional situation. They want to talk about job crafting, job search, application documents, or receive feedback on CV and your LinkedIn profile, or the emails they are sending to the headhunters. Sometimes people want to discuss their careers in general, meaning I want to be a board member in 3 years. I want to take advantage. I'm a female senior professional. I want to take advantage of the EU directive. I want to be part of a non-executive board. How do I do that? Shall I stay or shall I go? Job ads don't seem to be working. How can I make it work? But what else can I do? I have an interview next week. What are your tips? So anything you want to discuss, we're here for you. Also, if you think that our know-how and tips are of value, please do follow our content. Let me just share all 3 links in one. Yes, I do not see any interest in the chat section. Maybe it's my glitch. It is overall a glitch. One of the participants asks, that's Agnieszka. I know that one of the comments got published now 30 minutes later. So yes, there was a glitch. We're using StreamYard today, but I hope you'll be able to follow. And my copy pasting of the links didn't work properly, but I hope my tech support will do a better job on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Thank you very much. Yes, that works. And of course, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Most of you already have, so you can send me an email. You can send me your questions, comments also on my LinkedIn profile. I'm very much looking forward to connecting to every single one of you. There you go. And we do have some time for questions. So if you have any questions, please ask them. I'll stick around. Okay, let's put that screen up. Could be questions, could be overall comments of what you think. Now that I've given you context, I've taken you through a time travel of what it took to find a job for an experienced professional executives in 2002. We looked at 2012, we looked at 2023, which is very, very similar to 2004 and 2025. So what are your thoughts after having seen this? I'm very curious. And I hope that the connection between StreamYard and LinkedIn stops glitching. Let's see, thoughts, comments, questions. Let's give it 3 minutes. That should help with the delay. While you are formulating your questions, comments, let me share with you why we decided to do. In that case, I have a very, very good question from Marek. AI Act, does the AI Act not block such tools in Europe? Very good question. In short, no, it doesn't. And we will cover that also. We will also talk about that in more detail during the webinar. But because the AI Act in the European Union is an important topic that a lot of people do not know about. Just give me a second. So as of February 2nd, 2005, let me get the correct. So the European Union's Artificial Intelligence Act came into effect on August 1st, 2024. But a further, let's call it restriction, came into effect. I'm looking for the data now. I believe it was February 2nd of 2025, which basically says AI is not allowed to make hiring decisions on its own. There are certain requirements that need to happen when AI is in play, especially when it comes to interviewing and assessing interviewees. So AI, for example, is not allowed anymore to interpret to interpret the data points they receive from during an interview and translate them into personality traits. So very, very interesting. And it's important to know about that. If you want to learn more about this and want to educate yourself on that, we have a couple of days ago, and actually that was the day before yesterday, we published a post called AI-powered interview preparation, where at the very end, we have, looks like a whole block of text, which is about the AI Act. So the short answer is no. It's not blocked, but there are restrictions, and US candidates should be aware of those restrictions. because it might be that some HR departments have not yet implemented them, and there are ways for you, the candidate, to protect yourself. And there are agencies that you can contact and say, hey, I'm not being treated fairly. AI made the decision. There was no human oversight. My human wasn't trained properly, etc. One comment was from Beverly. I knew I wasn't crazy. It's so much harder than before. Absolutely, yes. So much more demanding than ever before. And it is so easy to then say, oh, it's probably me. I'm over 40. I'm over 45. I'm over 50. It's because I'm a woman. It's because of that industry. It's because of this and that. But very often we see you simply haven't done yet what it takes currently to find a job. Yes, of course, once in a while somebody gets lucky. Gauss distribution, perfect. And we're happy that some are more lucky than others, absolutely. But overall, statistically, yes, it takes 3, 4, 5 times the effort than it used to take. Let's see. Another comment. Let me show that comment. I tried probably JobScan, but it also takes me quite a lot to adapt my CV according to AI suggestion. Meanwhile, I will lose chance to have a benefit for early application. So I am kind of back to transitional way. Any comment? Yes. And I had this conversation today with actually one of my clients. It is good to have what we would call a base CV or a master CV. So you're very strategic in preparing your main document that probably will end up being somewhere around 3 pages. So when you put it through a program like JobScan, the tweaking only takes 10 to 15 minutes instead of a full half an hour or 1 hour. So the base document is important. So it's very important to have a good base document that is properly formatted. This is also something I can share. Just give me a second. ATS guide. Properly formatted means that, let me just share that also here in the chat. We have an applicant tracking system guide that walks you through how to format a CV that goes through the applicant tracking system to increase the chances of actually being seen and recognized, and where information is correctly parsed. So having a properly formatted CV with the right content that you then also strategically prepare, knowing what kind of keywords are required to that bulk of job ads that you will be applying to, then the adapting every time before a job ad should not take you more than 10-15 minutes. So Brian, happy if you want to get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to have a look and discuss that in the career consultation. Okay. And I think those were all the questions and comments. And again, no, you're not crazy. We're all in this together. And yes, it's much, much harder than ever before, unfortunately. But the tools that are at our hands, the AI tools, the technology is absolutely amazing and absolutely worth using. But you need to know how to use it and when to use it properly. Because otherwise, as Brian mentioned himself, you can lose a lot of time there, even figuring out how to make it work. For example, in the article I just shared, AI-powered interview preparation, we have found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 really good tools. But with those 9 tools, AI tools, where more than half of them are free of charge or have a free demo version, every time you have a new tool, you need to test it. You need to see, does it work? Doesn't it work? How does it work? Does it give valuable feedback? What are the limitations? We've done that work for you. So you don't have to do that anymore. So with most tools, again, they're free of charge, good tips on how to use it, when to deploy it, so that you can potentially save to 60, 70 hours on your own job search. Okay, fantastic. Brian, looking forward to having your contact. Thank you so much for joining today. I hope that I'll get to see at least some of you next week and in 2 weeks' time. Have a lovely afternoon. and good luck with your job search. Thank you. Bye.